Hey everybody, it's Ruby here today, and I thought that I would do a book review slash book discussion on The Ship of Theseus by Doug Dorst and J.J. Abrams. Now before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick apology. I've been trying to do videos every Tuesdays and Fridays. Unfortunately, my internet has been down, so I was unable to do a Friday video, and I'm not really sure when this one is going up as well. So of course, if you're watching this, this has already been up and uploaded and things like that, but it may be a little bit later, and I apologize for that. I've been trying to be consistent, and unfortunately things just don't work out. Now, onto the book. So this book was commissioned by J.J. Abrams as a book for book lovers. So it is basically a classic, Ship of Theseus by Straka, supposedly written in the 50s or 60s by an author who is basically unknown. His identity is unknown, but there has been clues to various people that he could be. So there is a couple of people, basically area of expertise of literary majors who have been trying to find who he is, and in this particular book, which is the last book that he ever wrote, he gives clues to his identity. And so this undergrad picks up this book. She is working in a library and she discovers someone else's notes, and she starts replying to this guy who is doing research on it. And both the guy, Eric, and the girl, Jen, start to have discussions and basically start to form a relationship based on this book. Now, that is the most concise summary that I can possibly do, because there are a lot of clues in this book and a lot of ideas and metaphors and things that I think can create different experiences for different people, but that's sort of what I came away with. So it is supposed to be like a really cool classic, as well as some two people's love story sort of in the margins, as well as the person they think is Straka. Now I'm going to put this book down because it's really heavy, and I'm going to talk about what I liked and disliked about it. I was skeptical about what kind of book it would actually be, what book The Ship of Theseus would be like, because it is supposed to be sort of this great, epic, classic sort of book. And that meant that I felt that Doug Dorst, who actually wrote the actual book, would perhaps skimp out on it, or maybe think that the reader wouldn't be paying too much attention on that particular story. But what was quite interesting is that it held together on its own. It was supposed to be an allegory, maybe the characters represented other people, or there's a lot of metaphors and a lot of heroes' journeys in it, so it wasn't necessarily this, you know, contemporary fiction book about two people, but more of like this larger scale historical sort of analysis. And that was really cool, I found. I haven't looked too deeply into the plot or into any of the imagery, just because I was reading the margins and the story at the same time, but generally I absolutely loved it. The only particular flaw in it is the characterization of the characters in it, but hilariously enough, that was counteracted by the people writing in the margins, because you could clearly see that they were two different characters, which I think is something that not a lot of authors can do, where he was able to write Jen and Eric, and I was able to tell the two apart, not just by their handwriting, but also just how they thought. And as the story progressed, you can also see the progression of their relationship, of them just meeting to them actually meeting in real life and all of those sorts of things. And the even greater thing about this book is that there are several different colors that you can see of their handwriting. It starts out with like blue and black, and then it goes to yellow and green, and then it goes to pink and purple, and then black and black again. And so as you're reading, you start to think about the different timelines, and he like flawlessly was able to sort of connect all of these stages of people's lives together in like the same pages, where people would come back and rewrite things and stuff, and you could physically see on the page of people's thoughts changing as they discovered more about the Straka guy. I think the whole idea of Straka too was pretty cool. He had sort of tied his identity to the things that he wrote, and there were a lot of clear messages in it, both from what these students had discovered as well as just what you kind of notice as you're reading. And so you start to uncover this sort of greater story, and it reminded me a little bit of the secret organization in the Series of Unfortunate Events, which I can't remember right now, but that had been sort of following around these kids. And in sort of later works and sort of expansions on that world, the children had been able to discover more people who had been part of that organization or had sort of deviated from that. Honestly, there isn't too much that I disliked about this book, and I feel sort of like a betrayal in what I'm saying because I tend to be fairly critical about books, and I do find that things stand out if I don't like them. But there wasn't anything I disliked. I finished this book in about 4 days, which I think is pretty impressive. It's about 450 pages, including margin notes as well as ephemera stuck in the middle of pages. But it was gorgeous. It is something that I will definitely be rereading to better understand maybe the margin notes or to better understand the general plot. But that'll depend, of course, on other books I'll be reading and sort of my state of mind at the time. Now, I'm pretty sure that there are also companion websites to this book, which I'll link down below, like always. This is something that I'll also be looking up once I have internet again, but it looks like there are people who've expanded on it, so people have their own thoughts on this book, or maybe that there's been more released on it, but I will check that out for you guys. So that is it for my video. So I would definitely recommend this for anybody who loves books, who loves allegories, symbolism, and people who maybe are also in university who can maybe understand what they're talking about, because there are a lot of struggles with the main characters and their classes that they're taking, which I sort of agreed with as well. So I will leave that with you guys. So I have, of course, all my social media down below. Like, subscribe, comment, do your thing if you like this. And I will talk to you guys later.